Imagine this. The stadium lights are blinding, the crowd is thunderous, and all eyes are locked onto one man at the plate. His heart is pounding, but his focus is sharper than a blade. He's trained for this moment, sacrificed for this moment, lived for this moment. The pitcher winds up. The ball rockets out of his hand, a white blur slicing through the air. 95 miles per hour. And then, in a split second, crack. Not the sound of a bat meeting the ball, but the brutal, sickening sound of a fastball smashing straight into Jason Heyward's face. The crowd gasps. Silence swallows the stadium. Heyward crumbles to the ground, blood pouring, his career, his very life, hanging in the balance. This isn't just a story about baseball. This is the story of how one man faced his worst nightmare, stood on the edge of losing it all, and still found the strength to rise again. This is the story of Jason Heyward. Jason wasn't just another player. Born in Ridgewood, New Jersey and raised in Georgia, he carried a bat almost before he could even walk. Coaches knew from the start, this wasn't a normal kid. By high school, Heyward was already a legend. Scouts swarmed every game he played. His size, his speed, his raw power made him one of the most sought-after prospects in America. In 2007, the Atlanta Braves drafted him in the first round. And from there, the journey began. People called him the J. Hay Kid, comparing him to baseball's greatest icons before he even stepped onto a major league field. When he finally debuted in 2010, he didn't just live up to the hype, he shattered it. On his very first at-bat, he launched a home run that sent the crowd into a frenzy. He wasn't just a rookie, he was a phenomenon. The Braves had found their star. But fate had something else planned. It was August 24th, 2013. The Braves were facing the Mets. Jason Heyward was in his prime. An all-star outfielder, a defensive beast, a hitter feared across the league. Jonathan Niese, the Mets' left-hander, unleashed a fastball. Heyward barely had a split second to react. The ball crushed into the right side of his face, directly shattering his jaw. The sound echoed through the stadium. Heyward dropped instantly, writhing in agony. Blood everywhere. Teammates froze. Fans covered their mouths in horror. It wasn't just an injury, it was a nightmare. Doctors rushed him off the field. The diagnosis, a fractured jaw in 2 places. Jason Heyward, the rising superstar, suddenly found himself staring at the darkest question any athlete could face. Would he ever play again? The surgery was brutal. Metal plates and screws were inserted to hold his jaw together. For weeks, he couldn't eat solid food. His diet was limited to shakes and soups just to survive. But the physical pain wasn't the worst part. It was the mental torture. The endless nights lying awake, wondering if he'd ever step onto the field again. The fear of another pitch coming at his face. The voices of doubt whispering in his mind. What if you're never the same? What if your career is over? Even fans began to wonder, would Jason Heyward's story end not with glory, but with tragedy? But Jason Heyward wasn't built to quit. Just a month later, in September 2013, something incredible happened. Defying all odds, Heyward returned to the Braves lineup. With his jaw still healing, his body not at full strength, he stepped back into the batter's box. The first time he faced a pitch again, the stadium held its breath. Would he flinch? Would the fear consume him? Number Jason Heyward stood tall. The ball came in, and he swung. It wasn't just about a hit. It was about courage, about defiance, about refusing to be broken. That moment turned Jason Heyward from just a talented player into a symbol of resilience. But Heyward's journey didn't stop there. In 2015, he joined the St. Louis Cardinals. And then, in 2016, came his biggest chapter, the Chicago Cubs. That year, the Cubs made history. After 108 years of heartbreak, they won the World Series. But the most legendary part wasn't Heyward's stats in that series. It was his speech. During a rain delay in Game 7, with the Cubs' spirits breaking, Jason Heyward pulled his team into the locker room. He told them, "We're not done yet. This is our time. Let's finish this." That speech lit a fire in the Cubs. They went back out, fought with everything they had, and made history. Jason Heyward wasn't just a survivor. He became a leader, a voice, a legend. Jason Heyward's story isn't just about baseball. It's about life. He taught us that no matter how hard life hits you, even if it breaks your bones, even if it knocks you flat on the ground, your story isn't over. What defines you is not the pain, but the comeback. And Jason Heyward's comeback was more than just about playing again. It was about inspiring millions, showing us all that strength isn't about avoiding pain. It's about rising.